ಮಾಯಾ ಉತ್ಸವಕ್ಕೆ ಆದರದ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ಸುಸ್ವಾಗತ. Good morning, a very warm welcome to you all. As I already said, lovely ladies and the wonderful gentlemen accompanying the lovely ladies to Maya Utsava, celebrating women and weaves for National Handloom Day. ಬಹುಯುಗದ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ, ವಸ್ತ್ರ ಸಿಂಗಾರ, ಸಹಜವಾಗಿದ್ದ ನಗ್ನತೆ ವಸ್ತ್ರಗಳಿಂದ ಶೃಂಗಾರವಾಗಲು ಬಹುಕಾಲದ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರವನ್ನು ಪಡೆದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಕವಿಗಳು. ಬಟ್ಟೆ, ವಸ್ತ್ರ, ದಿರಿಸು ವಿಸ್ಮಯದ ತವರು, ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವದ ಕುರುಹು, ನಮ್ಮತನವನ್ನು ತೋರುವಂತಹ ಅದ್ಭುತ ಸಾಧನ ಅಲ್ವಾ? We are gathered here to celebrate National Handloom Day, which is tomorrow, 7th August. The Union government declared August 7th as the National Handloom Day to draw attention to India's handloom products and the people who are behind this. ಸೀರೆ ನುಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒನಪು ವಯ್ಯಾರದಿಂದ ಬೆಡಗು ಬಿನ್ನಾಣದಿಂದ ಕಂಗೊಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾರಿಯರು. ಇಂತಹ ಸುಂದರವಾದ ಸೀರೆಯನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಂದುಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಅದರ ವಿಶೇಷತೆಯನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಒಬ್ಬ ವಿಶೇಷವಾದ ಸುಂದರ ನಾರಿ ಈ ಇಡೀ ಮಾಯಾ ಉತ್ಸವದ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಸ್ಮಿತಾ ಶ್ರೀನಾಥ್. She is a qualified architect, but her passion lies in handlooms. An art enthusiast with aesthetic taste in everything that she takes up. She is an ardent devotee of goddess Kamakshi, extremely drawn towards the timeless elegance of Kanjivaram silks and cotton. Smita started her brand Maya and has been nurturing this hand-woven art in yards. ಸ್ಮಿತಾ ಅವರು ನವರಾತ್ರಿಯ ಗೊಂಬೆಗಳನ್ನ ಜೋಡಿಸೋದ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬ ಸಿದ್ಧಹಸ್ತರು. ತುಂಬ ಕಲಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡ ನಾಡಿನ ಈ ಶ್ರೀಮಂತ ಪರಂಪರೆಯನ್ನು ಎತ್ತಿ ಹಿಡಿಯುತ್ತಾ ಬಹು ವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾಗಿ ಗೊಂಬೆಗಳನ್ನು ಜೋಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮನ ಗೆದ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ವಿಖ್ಯಾತರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸ್ಮಿತಾ. ಇವರ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಜೊತೆಗೂಡಿರೋದು ಇವರ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ಶ್ರೀನಾಥ್ ಅವರು. ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾರಿಯರು ಶ್ರೀನಾಥ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಗೌರವದ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲೇಬೇಕು. May I now request Smita to formally welcome the gathering and give a detailed introduction about the beautiful introduction of weaves and handlooms, and also give a glimpse of 14 years of this beautiful journey with Maya. Please welcome our dear Smita Srinath.
Namaskara and a very good morning to all of you lovely ladies here and the gentlemen. I'm so overwhelmed to see, it looks so vibrant, so colorful, and it's indeed a pleasure to welcome all of you here. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being with us, participating in the National Handloom Day celebration here. We have put together a small list of programs today, so sit back and enjoy. Please feel free to participate, to ask a question, and you can even whistle podu, no problem. The highlight of, I already hear one, the highlight of today's event is celebrating women and weaves. So from that point, it is very important to note that almost 72% of all the weavers in India are women. So there is a good chance that the sari which you have draped today, it might have been created by an unknown woman. Here both the creator and the patron, both are women, and above all we have Devi Kamakshi, the presiding deity of Kanjivaram, blessing all of us. Aren't these sample reasons for a celebration? I would now request two senior Carnatic classical musicians, Vidushi Dr. Ansuya Kulkarni and Vidushi Kanakaswamy, to come and light these two lamps. Ansuya auntie, please. I'm going to tell you about the significance of handloom and why we are celebrating it. In fact, India has such a vast heritage of handlooms. No other country has this kind of, the prized heritage. So it's only very important for all of us to know at least a little bit of about handlooms. From a recent survey, handloom industry had nearly 24 lakh looms and employs around 35 lakh people. So that makes handloom industry the second largest employment sector in rural India, next only to agriculture. Any of you in the audience, do you know which Indian state has the maximum number of handloom weavers? Anyone, please? Sorry, it is Assam. Assam has nearly 13 lakh weavers, followed by West Bengal in the second position, and in the third position it is Manipur. Tamil Nadu stands in the fourth place with nearly 2.4 lakh weavers. Most of 80% of the weavers live in villages, and the entire household participates in weaving and allied activities. A glance at the early history tells us that Indian hand-woven fabric existed beyond the times of memory. In fact, India was one of the largest exporter of textile to many parts of the world even during ancient times. India exported nearly 25% of the world textile needs, both in silk and cotton, to many parts of the world. The earliest Indian fabric with a hamsa or a swan design was dug somewhere near Cairo in Egypt since 5000 BCE. And later on, large chunks of cotton, hand-woven madder-dyed cotton, and weaving shuttles, what the weavers used to, they throw from side to side. The weaving shuttles, these were dug in sites near Mohenjo-daro, that is the Indus Valley civilization. Looking at other genres of weaving, Paithani existed since 200 to 400 BC, and Patola, the famed Patan Patola, existed since 12th century. And Kanjivaram finds its roots in the Pallava, Chola and the Pandya reigns, and later it reached great heights during the Vijayanagar Empire, Vijayanagar period, that's 14th century. All these rulers, they built hundreds of some of the finest and grandest temples, and they also encouraged, inspired and encouraged silk weaving. And this, you will find ample evidences of this in the next presentation by Dr. Chithra Madhavan. If we have to know about the current state of handloom industry in India, we actually have to browse through a bit of colonial India, I mean the colonial colonization in India and in the West. Industrial revolution in the West during mid-18th and early 19th century, and the inventions which followed the industrial revolution brought in radical changes in textile industry. Mass production of textiles became an accepted norm. And during British colonization, the British weavers, the British harassed the Indian weavers, handloom weavers, by setting up prices lower than the cost, and the weavers who refused to sell to the British were fined and imprisoned. They resorted to all kinds of extreme violence. Deviating a little bit from this, the British commissioned officers to document Indian textiles. British officers were commissioned to do this, and they did a wonderful job of documenting this. They were commissioned to document this based on the region, cost, material, weaving techniques, and all these. In fact, I have to mention a British physician by name Dr. John Forbes Watson. He was commissioned to do this, and he traveled all over India, and he catalogued it into 18 volumes. They really did a fantastic job of documenting our prized heritage. I don't know, we have not done that, but they have done. And they copied and modified our prized heritage only to be changed to mass production in English mills. Now coming back to the harassment by the British, I'm sure many of you would have heard of calico, Indian handloom calico. Calico got its name because of its origin from Calicut. This handloom calico is fine cotton, hand-woven cotton, plain cotton, which was later on printed, and it was called the chintz. That is the original chintz. Indian traders exported chintz to England, but again, the Britishers harassed these traders, and they levied draconian taxes on that. So the Indians could not manage. It was very hard for them to pay such high taxes. So they stopped exporting chintz, and they started exporting raw cotton. And this raw cotton was converted into mass-produced mill fabric in English mills and printed later on. And this is a cheap look-alike of the original chintz. I am sure many of you have also heard of English cheeti, athwa cheeti batte. Cheeti batte. This cheeti batte was again sent back to India, and this was sold for a lower cost, and that's how the market moved to mass-produced mill fabric, and handloom was pushed to a corner. But why did the Britishers do this? Like I had earlier mentioned, India was one of the largest exporter of textiles in the world. So to counter India's control over the textile trade, to monopolize textile trade. In fact, Britishers were a little late. By then, the spices and other things were already in the French and Portuguese this thing. So textiles was the one which was next. So they wanted to monopolize that, and to take control over that, they resorted to all these tactics of harassing and imprisonment, fine, all those things. Even to this day, the Indian handloom industry is yet to recover from this long oppression. And added to this, sad to say, but there is a lot of lack of political will and skill in subsequent governments too. So that has added to the handloom industry, the suffering of the handloom industry. We have actually seen weaving from very close quarters, especially Kanjivaram weaving from past almost 14 years. And we often hear weavers saying, my children are not coming back to this profession. My son is studying engineering. My daughter is doing MBA. But we have also seen many of the younger generation taking up the fathers and grandfathers, the parents and grandparents' professions, and taking up weaving and doing a fantastic job. They are doing a real good job. After finishing college, they come to this profession and do a good job. But of course, this is very, very, few people, less compared to people who are moving away from handloom weaving. So every day, handloom is being replaced by power loom for better productivity and incomes. But finally, there is a compromise on the quality and the finesse. The finesse which is there and you find in a handloom, nothing can match that. So this being the current state of handloom industry, what is it that we can do? I mean, is there really will our handloom heritage survive for the next generations is one big question. So what is it that we all can do to bring handloom industry out of this situation? Mindful buying and usage is one solution. See, every time, no product can survive without demand. So we have to create that demand. So every time we buy a fabric, not just a sari, it can be any fabric. It can be a bed sheet, a bath towel, a curtain, any home decor, or even a humble handkerchief. We have to ask a question whether this comes from a handloom. That is one, mindful buying and usage. And secondly, we must have a movement like the Swadeshi movement, which was started in 1905 on August 7th. We must have a movement like that, where hand-spun and hand-woven fabric was encouraged. So that is another thing. In fact, Swadeshi movement was a national phenomenon then, and it was a defining moment for our freedom struggle. So even for handloom, we must have a movement like that where we can proudly say hand-woven in India. So that is what we can do. We can, you and I must promote handloom and bring it back to our lives. I'm not saying powerloom is evil. In fact, powerloom provides necessary and trendy clothing. It provides affordable clothing for everyone. But those who can afford, those who care, must promote handloom. And that's how we can make this survive for the future generations. In fact, handloom is, again, you will be supporting an artisan and his family by buying handloom. Not only that, it is eco-friendly, it is, there is less carbon footprint. So, my earnest request, being in the handloom industry for 14 years, my earnest request to all of you here is promote handloom, buy handloom, tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell your near and dear ones. With that message, I think I will end it. It's only fair that I acknowledge, all those, all these information were compiled and collected from very authentic sources. So it's only fair that I acknowledge all of them. Handloom Census 2019-20, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India. India Brand Equity Foundation, Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. Outlook magazine, and some of the papers presented by Shruti Sudha Mishra and Dr. A.K. Das Mohapatra of Sambalpur University, Odisha, and Aarti Kalra, Madras Institute of Development Studies. All these information were collected from these sources, so I would like to thank them and acknowledge. Thank you. 9 August. I started it as a trunk sale with just a handful of cotton sarees. Handloom was actually a very passionate subject in our entire family. So with that, I thought, why don't I do this, and started it as a trunk sale. And then over the years, I slowly added silks. But from day one, two things which are kept intact are one, it's all cherry-picked, curated Kanjivarams. I travel to many of these weavers all over Tamil Nadu. And in fact, many weavers have become so close, and now they know what we need, and we also know what kind of products they weave. So it's that way. And number two, it is, we haven't diverted from our punchline traditional and aesthetics. All you can find in Maya is a 40-50-year-old design. Of course, market is flooded with new designs every day, but those are all very short-lived. So even the weavers know that the time-tested designs are these. And we went online in 2017. And from then on, in fact, I have so many customers who have turned into close friends everywhere in the world, all around. We ship worldwide, so I have got friends all around the world. Many of them who are in Bangalore, whom I am meeting the first time. So, but we are very close. I mean, the moment we see each other, we can get along. So that has actually earned me so many friends. In fact, many people say, even those in Bangalore, they say, I'll be coming at 3 o'clock, please keep some coffee for me, or I'll have lunch with you. It's like that. It's not just business for us. It's more of friendship now. So that's what Maya is, and you'll be seeing a short video glimpse of that. Thank you. Hello everyone, Namaskara. I am Smita Srinath, and here I am in my store Maya. Maya is the place for curated handloom Kanjivarams. We have collections in Kanchi pure silks, cottons, and of course silk cottons too. Each one of the sari here is a cherry-picked collection, and we only have traditional handloom silks and cottons. So if you are looking for any dated designs, this is the place for you.
I met Smita in a handloom exhibition a few years back and saw the collection at Weave Maya for the first time. And I remember coming back and telling my mom, I finally found a store that carries sarees that my granny wore, that kind of sarees with checks and border without jari. I was very impressed. From then on, for a couple of handloom exhibitions, I did meet Smita, and the collection has always been very, very good. It's a pleasure to interact with Smita and the knowledge she has, and the collection is always handpicked by her. Now, when I think of Kanjivaram sari, the first thing that comes to mind is Weave Maya.
ಕುಳಲನುದುತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನದೀಪವಲಿಸಿದ ನಲವೋಲವಿಲ್ಲವ ಕೆರಳಿಸಿ ಕುಣಿಸಿ ಸಿಂಹಾಸನ ಸ್ಥಿತೆ ಸುಂದರ ಗುರು ಗುಹನುತ ಲಲಿತೆ ಸಿಂಹಾಸನ ಸ್ಥಿತೆ ಸುಂದರ ಗುರು ಗುಹನುತ ಲಲಿತೆ.
At a time when the world is used to fast fashion from brands that are not necessarily environmentally conscious, I am super happy to be associating with Weave Maya, a locally sourced, handloom-focused brand that is allowing me to enjoy these wonderful sarees that you see today. I am a proud customer of Weave Maya for many reasons. One is that it is an environmentally conscious brand. It is not just about our sarees or sourcing sarees, but it thinks about our textile weavers as well as their families. That really makes me feel incredibly proud to be part of this community called Weave Maya.
I love coming to Maya for the designs, the motifs, and the color combinations of Kanjivarams that it offers. These are designs that are reminiscent of an era that's gone by.
Maya, great customer service, great product quality.
Choose wisely, choose slow fashion, choose our indigenous handloom, and choose Weave Maya.
We are located in Basavangudi, Bengaluru. So if you live in Bengaluru, you can drop by. Please don't forget to call us on 99023 56001 to fix up an appointment. If you want to shop online, you can check our website. We ship worldwide. Thank you. Namaskara.
ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಚಿತ್ರ ಮಾಧವನ್ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ, ಪರಂಪರೆ, ಚರಿತ್ರೆ ಇವುಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಆಳವಾಗಿ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದರ ಭವ್ಯತೆಯನ್ನು ದಾಖಲಿಸಿರುವಂತಹ ವಿಶೇಷ ಸಾಧಕ ಮಹಿಳೆ ನಮ್ಮೊಡನೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಚಿತ್ರ ಮಾಧವನ್ ಅವರು. ಶಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅನ್ MA and an MPhil in Indian history and a PhD in ancient history and archaeology. She is a recipient of 2 postdoctoral fellowships. ತಮಿಳುನಾಡಿನ ಚರಿತ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯ ಕುರಿತಾದ 9 ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳ ರಚನಾಕಾರರು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಚಿತ್ರ ಅವರು. ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಭಾರತದ ವಿಷ್ಣು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನಗಳು, ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತ ಭಾಷಾ ಅಧ್ಯಯನದ ಕುರಿತಾಗಿಯೂ ಆಳವಾದ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿ ವಿವರಗಳನ್ನು ದಾಖಲಿಸಿರುವಂತಹ ಹೆಗ್ಗಳಿಕೆ ಇವರದ್ದು. ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ಇನ್ ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮಿಡೀವಲ್ ತಮಿಳುನಾಡು, an epigraphical study, and temples of Kanjivaram also. She has co-edited a book, South India Heritage, containing articles on South India's heritage and culture. Dr. Chitra has also compiled books on the Perumal Temple, Kanchipuram, and the Varadaraja Temple in Kanchipuram. She also conducts heritage tours in India and abroad. We are honored to have you with us this morning, Dr. Chitra, and very eager to watch your presentation. Over to Dr. Chithra Madhavan. Please welcome her with a round of applause.
Yeah, thanks to Smita ji for inviting me here. It gives me great pleasure to be with a group of handloom enthusiasts. I come from a history background and archaeology background, and also very interested in handlooms. And the minute Smita ji suggested that I could talk about the connection between temples, sculptures and handlooms, I was really very pleased. You see, in India we have this wonderful heritage and culture. This has come down through millennia, through thousands of years. From the Indus Valley, the Indus Saraswati civilization that she just mentioned, up to today, there has been a continuity of tradition. No other country in the world can boast of such a continuity. There have been other great civilizations in Egypt, Mesopotamia, etc. But the fact that we have it till today, starting even from our rangolis, everything, weaving tradition, that is something that each and every Indian has to be very proud of. There is also another thing. We study each subject of Indology separately. There are some who study architecture and sculpture, there are some who study yoga, music, dance, handlooms, etc. But it's actually all these different subjects are part of a whole. We are looking at it from different perspectives, but each is actually connected to the other. So next slide please. We are now going to, I'll start with a little bit of history, then we'll connect the sculptures and the weaves. We are going to a place called Ajanta that you all know. It's in Maharashtra and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is actually a Buddhist place where the Buddhist monks used to sit quietly over here and do their meditation. Next, please. There are approximately 26 to 28 caves over there. They have been cut into hard rock. This is how you see it. It's a horseshoe shaped natural formation that the Buddhists took up as their residence by making huge caves inside the rock. Next, please. So this is how the caves actually look. They have been numbered. The blue that you find there is the river Vagora that has cut down into the rock for centuries, and all the green things that you see going into that black are all the caves that the Buddhist monks lived in and the Buddhist monks worshipped in. Next, please. So these are called the viharas. The viharas, as the name suggests, is where the Buddhist monks actually lived. Look at the effort that has gone into making each of these caves. They didn't have electricity, they didn't have drills, they didn't have any of the modern equipment that we have today. And yet, with the most basic tools, definitely a hammer and then some sharp pointed instruments, they have chipped into the hard rock, removing little by little and then making these. Next, please. So the one that I showed you, square pattern, are the viharas, where the Buddhist monks actually stayed. These are called the chaityas, where the Buddhist monks prayed. These were the temples for the Buddhists. These have also been carved into hard rock. So this is how the caves of Ajanta look. World famous for their architecture and the sculpture. Next, please. Now here you are going into the caves of Ajanta. If you look carefully near the top, you will find some traces of paintings. These paintings were all done sometime between the 2nd century BC down to the 5th century AD. All of them are more than 1,500 years old. This is how you see little bits of red and yellow and all that you can see over there. Next, please. So all these, now you in this particular picture you may not see much painting at all, but it was completely painted once upon a time. Next. And that's the reason why I am talking about this. You can see Buddha over here, and you can see that he is leaning on a cushion. The cushion is at the back. Now if you see the cushion, you can see that either the cover of the cushion or it was completely woven. You can see the weaving design at the back. So the Ajanta paintings are world famous. They are called the Ajanta frescoes. They were done with a great deal of detail and with a lot of trouble. A fresco is when the painting is done when the wall is still wet. Of course, they didn't have chemical colors. You can now go buy some camel paint and brush over there. Those days, no. They had to make their own paints and their own brushes. How were these paints made? From very organic colors. Green from the leaf, ochre, that is orange ochre, yellow ochre, those are from the rocks. Black was made from the soot of fire, white again from rocks, etc. So around, just behind Buddha, that cushion he is leaning on is clearly a handloom work. Next, please. And then you see this lady over there. We are talking about paintings that are 1,500 years old. And can you see that cloth she has draped over herself? And there are some duck prints over there. This may not exactly be, the cloth is definitely handloom. They had nothing but handloom, but it has been printed on over here. So if you study Ajanta paintings, we get a lot of information about the history of the times, about Buddha's charitra, Buddha's history, all of that. But for a person interested in textiles and handlooms, if he or she goes into Ajanta, there's a new world opening up over there. You can see bandhani, you can see ikkat, you can see various kinds of textile traditions of India that were in vogue at that point of time and still being used in India, still being woven in India. So this, we are talking about centuries old tradition, but generally students of history will always ask, where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? Here is the evidence. There on the walls of Ajanta, painted so meticulously, you have all these traditions. Next, please. This, many of you may have gone into the temples of India, either in the south or in the north. Other than, of course, praying, that is the main reason why we go into a temple. If we are sensitive enough, we will admire the architecture and the sculpture. Those are there for us to see. Generally, we walk past the inscriptions that have been etched on the temple walls. We hardly care to see those inscriptions. Basically, the reason is because we don't know the script in which they are written. If we knew, we would stand and read, but these were written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years back. We don't understand it, so we bypass them. But the inscriptions on the walls of temples, at least, we know they are there. What I am showing you on the screen is what is called a copper plate inscription. This what I am showing you is more than 1000 years old. It is there in the Madras Museum, and these are actually sheets of copper. They have become black because of age, and these sheets of copper have holes in them, and there is a copper ring putting those plates together, and there is a copper seal. The round thing that is sticking out there is a copper seal. This belongs to the Chola dynasty. It belongs to a king called Uttama Chola. All of you may have seen PS1, PS2, these famous movies now, and this is just the immediate predecessor of the famous king Rajaraja Chola. Now, why should I be showing you something that is there in a Madras museum? Because it has a lot of connection with handloom. And we all know that Kanjivaram is a place very, very well known for its temples and for its vibrant handloom industry. Even now it's a vibrant industry in Kanjivaram, as Smitaji said. Now this inscription talks about the king, the Chola king, having given some rights to weavers in Kanjivaram to look after a particular Vishnu temple over there. So weavers in Kanjivaram more than 1000 years ago were thought of not just as weavers, but that they were so truthful, so trustworthy, so honest that they could be depended upon to handle the accounts of a very important Vishnu temple in Kanjivaram. And these people are also mentioned as the weavers of the silken garments for the kings. We already know that Kanjivaram in the Pallava dynasty, starting from as early as the 5th, 6th centuries AD and much later also, had a huge connection with China. There was ongoing trade, sea trade with China. And definitely some influence of China silk and the handloom tradition of Kanjivaram would have gotten mixed at that point of time. So anyway, so this copper plate inscription also tells us much about the weaving industry in Kanjivaram, and that's why I am showing it to you. We have authentic evidence over here. Next please. On the next few slides, what I am going to show you are not exactly about textiles, but I want you to understand how much the sculptors of our ancient times have worked so hard, and it will set the background for what I am going to show later. I am showing you a temple which is called the Kailasanatha temple in Kanjivaram. Those who visit this sacred place, kindly visit this temple. It's a storehouse of so many things and has inspired weavers over the centuries. Next please. This temple was constructed in the 8th century AD in the reign of a Pallava king called Rajasimha. Today it's called the Kailasanatha Shiva temple, but in those days it was called Rajasimheshwaram, the Ishwara temple of Rajasimha. That was the name of that Pallava king. It's completely built of sandstone with very little granite. What you are seeing now is the inside enclosure, the prakaram, where you do the pradakshina of the temple. This is a very, very unique temple. I am going to be showing you repeatedly the sculptures of this temple in the course of this lecture. There you see many sculptures. You identify Ganesha? Sure. Next please. Then you can identify this form of Shiva called Lingodbhava Murti, when Shiva became a pillar of fire. Next. Now I want to show you this because literature, sculpture, weaving, everything is one part, and this is not exactly connected with the weaving industry, but I want to show you how much the sculptors knew so that later you will understand whether the weavers were influenced by the sculptors or maybe the sculptors were influenced by the weavers. We have no idea. So the this one. So you see two men fighting over here. We can just bypass the sculpture and say, okay, we don't understand this, there are two men and we can go away, or we can try to identify. The man wearing the tall crown, that kiritam, is actually Arjuna, the Pandava prince. The other person over there, not wearing a crown, is God Shiva, in his form as a kirata or a hunter. Now we all know that Pandava Arjuna went to the Himalayas before the Kurukshetra war, prayed to God Shiva in order to get from him a very, very powerful weapon called the Pashupata Astra. And God Shiva wanted to test Arjuna before he gave him that very powerful weapon. So what Shiva did was, he changed himself into a hunter and came near Arjuna, and he sent a Varaha or a wild boar running towards Arjuna. Arjuna shot an arrow at that Varaha, and Shiva also shot an arrow at the same time. So both of them fought. Finally, Shiva, realizing that Arjuna was capable of bearing that Pashupatastra, gave it to him. I want to tell you how much the sculptors knew. That story is one small story in the Mahabharata. But the one great scholar called Bharavi, who was in Kanjivaram in the 6th century, took that little story from the Mahabharata and made it into a great kavya. He made it into a Mahakavya. That was in the 6th century. This sculptor in the 8th century, he was obviously so well read, such a scholar, he took that story and he made it into a sculpture. But how are you going to understand? Even now, how are we going to understand that this is Arjuna and this is Shiva? Where is the clue? If you look behind the leg of Arjuna, you will find a Varaha. Can you see that boar over there? That's why we know that this is the story of Kirata Arjuniyam, Kirata and Arjuna. And this is because the sculptor knew of Bharavi's story. Bharavi took that story from the Mahabharata. All this. Next please. We go to the famous Hoysaleshwara temple in Halebid, so close to Mysore, Karnataka, belongs to the Hoysala dynasty. Next please, 12th century. Just doing this just to show you how great our sculptors were. Then we'll come to our own topic. This you see as a war. Now when I go to schools and teach children, I ask them, can you recognize this sculpture? And they'll say, yes, of course. And what sculpture? This is the Mahabharata war. This is the Kurukshetra war. So I'll ask those children, how do you know it's Kurukshetra? Because they say, right hand side we see Arjuna. How do you know it's Arjuna? Because Krishna is the Sarathi, is the charioteer. Then I'll ask them, how do you know it's Krishna? Then they'll all keep quiet because they really thought that it was the Mahabharata war, but they are not able to give any evidence of it. Anybody will think this is Mahabharata. If immediately we think of Mahabharata, we'll have to think of Arjuna. If it is Arjuna, then the charioteer has to be Krishna. But where is the clue? So once again, this clever sculptor knew we would be confused, or we would take it for granted that this is Kurukshetra war, this is Arjuna and his charioteer Krishna. So he decided to give us a small little clue. So each of the heroes in the Mahabharata, whether they be the Kauravas or the Pandavas or the allies of the Kauravas and the Pandavas, each had a flag attached to the chariot. It would be a tall flag. On the flag would be an emblem. That emblem was for that particular warrior. So when they were coming from a great distance, you would say, oh, this is Drona, this is Bhishma, this is Arjuna. And on Arjuna's flag, there was a monkey, a very famous monkey whom we all worship, that is Hanuman. So that sculptor has put a small sculpture of Hanuman over there. So you will know that this man standing archer is Arjuna, and then therefore that is Krishna, and then this is actually the Mahabharata war. This was the quality of the Shilpins, the sculptors of those periods. Next please. Now the parrot in traditional Indian handlooms, you are coming to handlooms, we all know that so many goddesses hold the parrot. This is Meenakshi Devi from Madurai. Next please. Kamakshi from Kanjivaram. I had no idea that Smita was an ardent Kamakshi worshipper. It just so happened that I brought this with me. So now you have parrot motifs. Parrot in Indian tradition has a long connection. Shuka, the son of Vyasa, Maharshi Vyasa, Shuka was a profound scholar, very wise, great philosopher. He had the head of a parrot. Andal holds a parrot. Manmata, god of love, Cupid, rides on a parrot. Parrots are totally connected with Hinduism, our religion, our philosophy. One of the most intelligent birds. It can articulate, it can talk. So many things are there. So the parrot has been beautifully used in handloom textiles over the centuries. So these are from very many textiles from all parts of India. The Paithani sari, which she just mentioned, Smita just mentioned, of Maharashtra, have the parrot motif. Paithan was actually called Pratishthanapura once upon a time in the Deccan area. Today in Maharashtra, it was the capital of a dynasty called the Satavahanas, one of the mightiest dynasties. Unfortunately, we don't study anything in history classes in this country. We have such a great history tradition. Now this is the Paithani sari, and you can clearly see the parrot motif. Next please. There you are once again. Next. Now I am taking you back to the Kailasanatha temple in Kanchipuram, which we just left a few minutes back. This is how it looks. Next please. This is a pen drawing. This is how that, not a very big temple, but completely full of sculpture. Next. So this is that. This is called the Rajasimheshwara. Now we are used to seeing sculptures of parrots. If we look here and there, we'll see it. What you are looking at is actually an inscription. I've already told you on the walls of temples we have inscriptions. Those are written in many scripts. Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, the Devanagari script in which Sanskrit is written. Various scripts of India in various parts of India. But looking at this, nobody can say that this is a script actually. It looks like some kind of a design. But if you look carefully, you will see a parrot here. You see the beak, you see the eye, the head, neck and the feathers. So this is called calligraphy. Writing of a word or a sentence in a beautiful form so that it resembles whatever, a leaf or a flower. Or so in the Pallava times in the 8th century, they excelled in calligraphy and they made the inscriptions of this temple look like all kinds of things, parrots, etc. Next please. So this also you can see over there. You can see the head and the beak and the neck and the feathers. So some people have identified this. Go back to the previous one, please, previous. So you could think of this as a peacock, you could think of this as a parrot. It's really not very clear, but not only in sculpture. So what are these inscriptions actually talking about? It's very interesting. They are in the Sanskrit language. They have the 300 titles of King Rajasimha. Sri Atyanta Kamaha, Sri Shankara Bhaktaha, Sri Kavi Prabodhaha, all kinds of things about him. He was a devotee of Shiva, he was a patron of poets, he was this, he was that, he was that. We don't mind whatever he was. He has left behind this treasure house of all kinds of bird motifs, floral motifs. Definitely the weavers would have been inspired by this. Next please. Okay, next. Now even today in the Kailasanatha temple you have parrots sitting here and there everywhere. Next please. Go. So I am taking you to a random small temple somewhere in the outskirts of Chennai. It's just called the Masila Manishwarar temple. Religion wise it's very important, but sculpture wise it's really not so important unless we pay particular attention. Next please. So we go there and we see this multi-pillared mantapam. Mantapams were basically meant for to bring out the gods for worship, and even on other days, non-Utsavam days, for people to rest there in the afternoons and on rainy days, etc. Please note the pillars. It has all kinds of sculptures. This one. Next please. Please stop here. You can see how beautifully this design is put. clearly taken into the motifs of handloom weavers, especially Kanjivaram sarees. Very beautiful parrots these are. Next please. Then we go to a place called Tadipatri. Hardly anyone has heard about it. This is in Andhra Pradesh, in Anantapur district. Next, we go to a Chintala Venkatramana Swami temple. It is in worship, but it is such a historically and as far as sculpture is also concerned, such an important temple that it is taken care of by the Archaeological Survey of India, ASI. Here when you go, you find lots of sculptures like this. Next, specially parrot motifs, especially parrots. Next, I was shocked to see these. Can you see at the base? Not even one parrot has been repeated. You can look. Each parrot is different and the temple is full of stone parrots. Next please. Look at this. Next. Next. Over here. Next. See there at the base. Next. Next. Look at that. All of them pecking at something, eating. These sculptors have observed all these things. Next please. Over here and next. Please keep going. I've zoomed in on some. Look at the base of this image. There are two parrots. This one also. Next. And next. So all this is in Tadipatri. If you look up at the ceiling in Tadipatri, you will have a full-blown lotus like this. Full-blown lotus. Next. If you look next very, very carefully, look very carefully, you will have small parrots eating the buds. And eating the petals of the lotus flower that is there. Next please. So, but you'll have to look very carefully. I don't have a pointer from here, so we'll have to look. Next please. Keep going. This is Tadipatri temple full of parrots. Next. Okay, keep going. I think you can see the parrots very clearly now. So now the parrot motif, yes, very clearly taken by the weavers from the sculptures of the temples. And there are ever so many temples with parrot motifs. Now we come to the Yali motif. Yali, it's a mythical animal with all kinds of features. It has a trunk like that of an elephant. Part of the body is lion. The legs will sometimes look like crocodile legs. The tail sometimes is a tail, or sometimes it's like a peacock's plumes. So next please. We have so many Yali motifs. You've seen them all on cotton and silk sarees. Keep going. Next please. Now we go back to the Kailasanatha temple. Next. And then you have these sub-shrines. There are 58 small sub-shrines around the main shrine. Next. And there you have the Yali. The Yalis are there on almost all the pillars. In many temples there are different looking Yalis. They are all very different. Next, keep going. This is the famous Airavateshwara temple in Dharasuram, which is again a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Tamil Nadu. Belongs to the Chola period, 12th century. Next please. There. Next. There. Those pillars. Can you zoom on this please? The pillars here are at the base totally Yali pillars. And this is what finds its tradition into, there's a place called Tribhuvanam nearby, into the Tribhuvanam sarees, into other weaves also. The base of the pillars, all of them are Yali. Next please. We go to the Hoysaleshwara temple. I am choosing temples which have multitudes of sculptures, and these are the best specimens of those dynasties. In Halebid, next please, Hoysala dynasty. Next, and again you see Yali sculptures, so many of them. Keep going. This one. Okay. Next we'll come to the peacock motif. So often, so I'm sure many of you are wearing sarees with the Mayil, the peacock, the Mayura motif over here, the national bird of India. It is seen, next one, it is seen as the Vahana, the wooden Vahanas in so many temples when the gods are carried out. Next please. We all know that Subramanya Swami, Kartikeya, has the Mayura as his Vahana. In fact, Kartikeya is also known to ride on the elephant. That not many people know. So you have the Yali motif over there. Next, you come to the beautiful floral designs. Next, please. Next. Okay. Now that we are coming to the, please zoom over here. You are looking at Indus Valley civilization. There you have a peacock motif. This vase that you see is made of terracotta and beautifully painted, and this is more than 5,000 years ago. It's in a museum. There also you have a motif. These motifs are repeated on pottery, on the walls of temples, various other places, paintings, etc. Please keep going. There also you have this is Kartikeya with one consort, and right behind the leg of Kartikeya you have a peacock there also in sculpture. Next, please. Now we come to the floral motifs. Notice this border over there. It has beautiful real sequence of floral motifs. Next. These again you can like this, beautiful loops like that you can see on the walls of temples. Next, please. Keep going. We go back to Halebeedu, and here from the base whole lot of sculptures are there. I'd like to show you this wall and then we'll move into the sculpture. Next, please. Keep going like this. Keep moving. And then next one, stop. So this is where you have it in sculpture. Would not any weaver have been influenced by this? You may have one question on the top of your minds, that is, there are some special sculptures in some part of India, and in another part of India they have copied it in handloom. Now how can that happen? India is such a vast country, some motif somewhere is there in stone or in painting, that same motif is in textile in another corner of India. Why? There were traders, conquests had happened, cross-cultural relations were there, so somebody could have gone there, noted this, no photography at the time, they could have drawn it, brought it back to a weaver in some other part of India, he could have incorporated it into the design. Or was it the other way around, as I say? Why do we always think sculptures influenced the handloom tradition? Handloom tradition could also have influenced sculptures. They were all artists, basically, wanting new ideas, hunting for new ideas. Next, please. So this is the floral motif. Next, please. Keep going. We go into the Ekamaranatha temple in Kanjivaram. Each and every pillar there will have some design or the other. So look at this. Not the best of photographs, sorry, but you do see a floral motif. Look at this. This also, see there. All these this should not be horizontal. This was on a vertical pillar, and that's why I have taken it vertically. But previous weavers of Kanjivaram, this kind of idea, this motif. Next, please. This as well. When you go into a temple in South India, most times if you look to your right and to your left, there will be two ladies over there, and in their hands will be a creeper, a lata. That's how the creeper goes up like this. Those ladies are goddesses Ganga and Yamuna, and they have been placed there strategically with a particular reason. And the reason is that we know the Ganga and the Yamuna are the most sacred rivers of India. We have other sacred rivers, of course, but thinking wise, we think Ganga, Yamuna, Ganga, Yamuna. So as we go into a temple, we have to cleanse ourselves physically, of course, and mentally, and then go into the temple very pure in body and mind. So it is as though Ganga and Yamuna are standing there. We have to visually understand that the waters of the Ganga and Yamuna are there. We are bathing in it, and then we go into the temple premises. But because they are river goddesses, we understand that they are holding in their hands vegetation, creepers, and they go up and up and up and up in loops like that. And this is the artistic imagination. Inside every part of that creeper, they have put in various images of gods, goddesses, other things, etc. This also has been used by weavers. Next. So this is on the other side. Goes up and up and up, and from this side it goes up, it connects at the ceiling. Next, please. The mango motif. I know I am clearly running out of time, but the previous, please. The mango fruit, we all know, is delicious. The shape of the mango is also very, very distinctive. And it has been continuously used as a motif in India in art, that is in sculpture, in painting, and also in textiles like this. Very bold, very clear. Next please, very Indian fruit. We go into the Ekamaranatha temple in Kanjivaram once again. This temple cannot be dated. It's very old and over times it has grown. The Stalavriksham or the sacred tree over here is the Amra. Eka Amranatha. The one of the sacred mango tree is the name of God Shiva over here. Now why is the mango tree so famous? It is because it is said that once when Shiva and Parvati were in Kailash, Parvati was distracted when Shiva was giving an upanyasam on philosophy, and he told her to go down on earth. She came down to earth, she came down to Kanchipuram, she made a linga out of mud, a Prithvi linga, and she started to worship it under a mango tree. And when the nearby river called Vegavati was in floods, it threatened to wash away this mud lingam, and Parvati hugged it to save it. So they say in the temple, even today you can see the marks of the bangles of Parvati on that mud linga. It's a Prithvi linga, so no Abhishekam is ever performed to that linga. And finally Shiva and Parvati were united on earth. So here you have that sacred mango tree, which traditionally is believed to yield 4 different types of mangoes, representing the 4 Vedas, each in a different taste. Next. So on a pillar in this temple is the sacred mango tree, beneath which is the Prithvi linga that goddess Parvati worshipped in order to be reunited with Shiva. Can you clearly see, if you pay attention, the mangoes on the tree? They are very, very clearly there. It was the emblem of the Wadayar dynasty also. Much before that, it was used, though it was not the actual symbol, by the Vijayanagara rulers, whose feudatories and governors the Wadayar rulers were. Next. But, so you see the Gandaberunda in textiles, in handlooms, very often. Each of us will own a sari like this. Next please. So this is the symbol. Next. But it is a very, very ancient symbol. It has been used thousands of years back in various cultures across the world. It is not just an Indian motif. Next. It is like this. I am showing you pictures from various civilizations across the world. Now we go to the Ranganatha Swami temple in Srirangam. Next please. Very old temple. One of the oldest on the east. Next please. Please stop here. So this is the Gandaberuda that you have. Not in the typical form that you know it, but this is from the Hoysala dynasty, which ruled over parts of Tamil Nadu at one point of time, and they have left their symbol. It was not their emblem, but they used the Gandaberunda often, and it was there. It is said that when God Narsimha's fury after killing Hiranyakashipu could not be controlled, God Shiva came in a form called Sharabamurti or Sharabeshwara and controlled Lord Narsimha, and Vishnu again came in the form of Gandaberunda to pacify Sharaba. So this is a story. So you have Gandaberunda in sculpture. Elephants galore. Keep going please. How many? You go to the Konark temple. Please pass through the next few slides very fast. Konark temple is known for its, keep going, sculptural tradition. So many beautiful sculptures are there, but at the base of the temple, base of the temple are always elephants. Elephants, we know, are mighty creatures known to bear many loads. So in most temples, the bottommost part of a temple wall will be an elephant, as though it's holding up the entire temple. Next please. This is what has been incorporated into the handloom tradition. Next. There you have, again bringing you to Halebid. Next please. There are 1200 elephants carved on the bottommost level of the Halebid temple, the Hoysaleshwara temple, 12th century, and each of these elephants is distinct from the other. Either the tail or the ornamentation or the trunk, no two are the same. Same goes for the Belur Chennakeshwara temple, Somanathpura temple. They don't have as many as Halebid, but many, and all are distinctive. Next please. I'm going to an empire called the Kakatiya Empire in Andhra. Next. we go to a fort in a place called Warangal, which is about 150 kilometers from Hyderabad, in Telangana. Next. Keep going. Keep going. This is very famous as the Swayambhunatha temple in Warangal. It is completely in ruins. Next please. Here also, like the Hoysala dynasty, whose contemporaries the Kakatiya rulers were. Next. Next. There are elephants at the bottommost level. In every part of India, if you start noticing, most portions will be a series of elephants that has come into the handloom industry. Next please. Next. Then next. Finally you have previous Rudraksha motifs. That's very famous. Next. I couldn't find an exact Rudraksha on the walls of temples, but if you go to many Shiva temples, on top of the main Shivalinga that we worship, there will be a canopy of Rudraksha. Maybe that is what caught the attention of weavers, or something like this, perhaps, that looks like a Rudraksha. Next. Keep going. Okay, finally, the Anna Pakshi symbol, which we part and parcel of our handlooms. Next. The Anna Pakshi, you cannot find an equivalent in the English language. It's not exactly a swan. Because the Anna Pakshi, the Hamsa, is, as you all very well know, supposed to drink milk, spit out the water content and only keep the milk content. Whether there really was such a bird, we would not know. But then, all the water that the Hamsa throws out, the Anna Pakshi throws out, is supposed to be all our worldly desires. And the milk that is retained by it is supposed to be the ultimate truth. Which is why the great saints were called Paramahamsa, great Hamsa, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, etc., etc. So it has a huge philosophical meaning, the Hamsa, and also very beautiful to see. Next please. And therefore all over in sculptures you have Hamsa. Next. Again we are going to the Warangal fort, and here you see how delicately has this beautiful pierced stone window. Whose hands were these that actually made this? They all remain anonymous. See all the Hamsas that you have. Next please. Keep going. Keep going. And keep going. Temple Gopuram borders. Next. Gopuram borders are there. Next. South India is known for its huge Gopurams. Next. How can one not be inspired by this? So that also the weaver brought into the handloom industry. And then you have the Vanasingaram. Beautiful, all Vanam and all the creatures in the forest. You have these in many motifs, which brings me to the end of my presentation. I've taken more time than I should, but then how not to talk about all these great creative efforts that our ancestors have left behind for us. And the photos were given to me by Smitaji and Srinathji. Very grateful to them for these wonderful photos of the textiles, the handlooms. We have a great tradition in our India by way of architecture, sculpture, handloom, painting, whatever, whichever field. It's up to us to open our eyes and see all this beauty, and really up to us to sustain it for the future and hand it over to the next few generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chithra Madhavan. If there are any questions any of you want to ask, you are most welcome to, please, because it was wonderful insight towards our culture, scriptures and handlooms, and how the cultures are interconnected and all that. Anybody wants to ask any questions? Here.
Go ahead with my question. Yes, first of all, madam, thank you very much. It was a wonderful speech and very informative. In fact, we wish more from you, madam, heart of heart. Another 10 to 15 minutes more, we didn't mind sitting and having more information from you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I have two questions actually. The first question relates to science of designs and weaving. The relevant question today, as I stand now in the given time, is, has the this designing come to a standstill? Has it acquired the saturation point, or the present generation weavers are evolving, coming out with improvised designs, whatever the Esther century or Esther years their forefathers had said or designed? What is the situation now in the weaving industry?
Okay. First,
Can I come out with the second question also now?
one at a time.
Oh, okay, fine.
My mind can take.
Right.
So actually this question maybe should go to Smitaji and not to me, because she is more into handlooms and I am into sculptures and architecture. But I can tell you one thing, hereafter handloom weavers will never be inspired by newer sculptures. The sculptural tradition of India has almost come to an end. I'm very sorry to say that, but because those days the kings, the royalty used to, sponsor the building of many temples. The rich used to give money for temples to be built in their villages. So the Sthapatis and the Shilpis all got to work. They were rewarded very generously, and their creativity blossomed. Not only because of the money, but because they were allowed to work. Now, where are new temples being built anymore? Hardly ever. If we are building a new temple, it's made of concrete. Where is the occasion for the sculptor, if there are at all many left? They're all going off into other professions because there is no opportunity. They have to live, they have to feed their families. So unless these weavers take it from the ancient sculptures, no more are new sculptures going to be made for them to be inspired by. But luckily, our ancestors have left behind so many sculptures that there is plenty to go by, even for many more years. As far as the handloom sector is concerned, yes, please take over.
Sorry, I'm not one of the scheduled speakers, but having spent so much time in the industry for the last 14 years, I'll answer that question. See, there is a net reduction of handloom weavers since 1987. So every year you see the number going down. You do not have people coming in afresh. The second or the third generation weavers are not taking up handloom weaving anytime now. But it's a very mixed this thing. Say, I do not have any overall numbers to cite here because I am not prepared so much. But when we meet weavers, we do spend a lot of time talking about many things around their lives, not just weaving. In fact, some of them say that I'm very happy that my son is coming back to weaving, and he has actually increased the volumes, which is actually very heartening to hear. But we also hear from weavers that I do not want my son to come in here and then spend his 14-16 hours a day doing weaving. I would rather that he goes and takes a computer job. That's how they define a job of the modern day. They want them to go at 9 o'clock in the morning, finish their work and come back at 6 o'clock in the evening. They find that to be far more satisfying than creating something which is ageless. It's actually very sad. But the point is, this is not an answer to that question, but I'm adding to that. If we don't buy, they will not make. It's as simple as that. We have to go and ask for them to make. If you stop buying, they will stop making. So it's the, between chicken and egg, I think we should come first. If there is no demand, there will be no supply. In fact, during pandemic, we have had situations where weavers had huge stocks which the master weavers and the retailers would not pick up. So weavers were left high and dry, and they were straddled with so much stock in their godowns. They would call, every mobile number they would find on the internet, every Facebook, every Instagram account, they would call and ask, I have 250 sarees. Will you buy some 5 of them or 10 of them? Or if they approach retailers like us, they would ask, I will give it to you at a 20% discount. Please, help me, garner some cash. So these were the situations. So the point is, again, coming back to the statement which I made, that we have to be really mindful about asking for a handloom sari. Forget the sari, at least even if it's a cloth, just ask the question whether it is handloom. Buy as much handloom as possible. It's very easy to buy a turkey towel which is very luxurious and thick and everything. But the point is it consumes half a kilo of soap powder to wash it. and all of it ends up in the Koramangala, the valley. If you buy a handloom towel, it requires only a few grams of soap to wash it. Thank you.
Question is there a distinct difference between the sculptures of North India and South India? And that's why, South Indian weaves the sculptures, the temple architecture. It has a direct bearing on the designs and weaving the North Indian. If you take, to be distinct, Assamese or Manipuri weaving, it's not as diverse as South Indian. We have too many designs emerging from South India. What is your say on this?
Perceptive question. One is, in the Northeast, they don't have temples like in the rest of India, that much. Though I was so surprised to hear that Assam has the maximum number of weavers, very heartening. Definitely they were not influenced by their temples. They don't have that many sculptures on their temples. They are very modest structures compared to those in the rest of India. But I wouldn't say the same for the rest of India. You see the temples of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Orissa, you saw Konark. I didn't show you very many others. Khajuraho temple, the group of temples in Khajuraho, very many pockets of temples in North India definitely have the most intricate of sculptures. They are in sandstone as opposed to granite and soapstone in South India. The problem is, due to many an invasion, many temples in the north were destroyed. And therefore, we don't have that multitude of temples that we have in the south. In the south, we were saved for 2-3 reasons. One reason was the Vindhyas. The invaders found it very difficult to cross the Vindhyas and come to the south. Secondly was the mighty Vijayanagara Empire that stood from 1336 for more than 400 years, preventing invasions to the south. Therefore, the temples of the south are virtually intact. And we find all the sculptures which has been an inspiration for weavers. But in the north too, there would definitely have been a tradition of handloom weavers being inspired, enthused by the sculptures. Unfortunately, that tradition had many pitfalls.
Also, if you can let them know how they can contact you if anyone wants to know anything more about it.
You go ahead.
Yes, I am sure that must have answered your question, madam. Thank you. And if any of you all want to get in touch with Dr. Chithra, and she's always available, you can check with her. We are going to have an interaction later also. So thanks once again, Dr. Chithra, for this wonderful insight about these motifs and designs and the interconnectivity of India's diverse culture. Thank you so much. ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆಗಳೊಂದಿಗೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಚಿತ್ರ ಅವರಿಗೆ more power to you, madam. ಇದೀಗ ಕಲೆಯ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಮುಖದತ್ತ ನಾವು ಮುಖ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕಲೆಯ ರಸಾನುಭವಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಯಾ ಉತ್ಸವದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿಯಾಗಲಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯ ಹೆಗ್ಗುರುತು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರೀಯ ಗಾಯನ ಹಾಗೂ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರೀಯ ನೃತ್ಯಗಳು. ಗಾಯನ ನೃತ್ಯಗಳು ಹೇಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಮೂಲ ಗುಣ ಹೊಂದಿದೆಯೋ ಹಾಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ರೇಷ್ಮೆ ವಸ್ತ್ರಗಳು ಅದರ ನೇಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿ ಬೇರಾಗಿ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆ ಮೂಡಿಸುವಂಥವು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಮಾಯಾ ಉತ್ಸವದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ನೃತ್ಯ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿಗಳು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಪೂರಕವಾಗಿದೆ, ಸಮಂಜಸವಾಗಿದೆ. ಇಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಲೆಯ ರಸಾನುಭೂತಿ, ಅವರ ಕಲೆಯ ರಸಾನುಭೂತಿಯನ್ನು ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಉಣಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಜ್ಜಾಗಿ ನಿಂತಿರುವಂತಹ ಅದ್ಭುತ ಕಲಾವಿದೆಯರು ವಿದುಷಿ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಸಂಧ್ಯಾ ಉಡುಪ ಹಾಗೂ ವಿದುಷಿ ಅನುಶ್ರೀ ಪದ್ಮನಾಭ ಅವರು. It's my privilege to introduce these wonderful artists. Sandhya Udupa is a talented Bharatanatyam artist of grace, beauty, who has been nurtured in a rich culture of art and tradition. Disciple of renowned artist Acharya Indira Kadambi, Sandhya Udupa is a new generation artist who is committed to taking the finer aspects of our culture to wider audience. A qualified interior designer, she has also been additionally trained in Kuchipudi, Yakshagana and Carnatic classical music. That is wonderful. Sandhya has a Vidvat in Bharatanatyam and is a A-graded artist of Doordarshan, Bangalore. She is the trustee of Udupa Foundation and teaches Bharatanatyam under this institute. She has travelled extensively in India and abroad, performing in several festivals and sabhas of repute. Her guru in Kuchipudi is Vidushi Guru Vaijayanti Kashi Madam. Sandhya has won several awards and accolades for her excellent artistry. ಸಂಧ್ಯಾ ಅವರ ಕಲಾ ಸಾಧನೆ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಸಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿ, ಅವರ ಕಲೆಯ ಬೆಡಗು ಉತ್ತುಂಗಕ್ಕೇರಲಿ, ಶುಭವಾಗಲಿ ಅಂತ ಮಾಯಾ ವೇದಿಕೆಯ ಮೂಲಕ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ಮೂಲಕ ಹಾರೈಸೋಣ. Anushree Padmanabha, born in a family of artists, developed interest in art at a very young age. Apart from being a classical vocalist, she is known for her exceptional dancing skills. Anushree received her formal training in Odissi by Vidushi Smita Panigrahi in Pune, where she imbibed strong foundation to Odissi. Further, she continued to learn under senior guru, a famous dancer, Srimati Sharmila Mukherjee of Sanjali Center of Odissi. Anushree has been the part of principal dancers of Sanjali Dance Ensemble and has toured extensively. She has performed solo in many prestigious sabhas like Surya Festival and Bangalore Odissi Utsava, Utsava, Ananya Nrityolyasa and many more, to name a few. She's also performed internationally. Anushree has taken keen interest in painting and has founded a company called The Whirly Tales. So that shows how the painting, music, dance are all interconnected. All our art forms are all interconnected. And ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಸಂಗೀತಗಾರರು, ನೃತ್ಯ ಪಟುಗಳು ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಸಾಧಾರಣವಾಗಿ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಚಿತ್ರಕಲೆ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಸಹಜವಾಗಿ ಒಲಿದಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಭಾವಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಈ ಉದಯೋನ್ಮುಖ ಉತ್ಸಾಹಿ ಕಲಾ ಪ್ರತಿಭೆಗೆ ಮಾಯಾ ವೇದಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ಶುಭ ಹಾರೈಕೆಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸೋಣ. ಮಾಯಾ ಉತ್ಸವದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂದಿನ ನೃತ್ಯ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿಗಳ ಸಣ್ಣ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಮುಂದೆ. 4 ಮುಖ್ಯ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಇವತ್ತು ಕಲಾವಿದರು ಅಭಿನಯಿಸಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮೊದಲನೆಯ ನೃತ್ಯ ಬಂಧ ವಿದುಷಿ ಸಂಧ್ಯಾ ಉಡುಪ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಪಡಿಸಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಂಧ್ಯಾ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿಗಿನ್ ಹರ್ ರಿಸೈಟಲ್ ವಿತ್ ಮುರುಗ ಕೌತ್ವಂ. Kautvam is an invocatory piece generally presented in the beginning of any recital. The dance choreography of this Kautvam is by Acharya Srimati Indira Kadambi, and this is set to Raga Riti Gaula and Aditala. Over to Sandhya Udupa with her presentation of Muruga Kautvam in Maya Utsava. Please welcome Sandhya Udupa.
తక్కుడు దిక్కుడు తరికిట తక్కుడు దిక్కుడు తక తరికిట తక తక్కిన్నం ఝక్కిన్నం తక్క జన్న కిట్ట కిర్ర కిట్ట తక్కుడు దిక్కుడు తరికిట తక్కుడు దిక్కుడు తక తరికిట తక తక్కిన్నం ఝక్కిన్నం తక్క జన్న కిట్ట కిర్ర కిట్ట తక్కుడు దిక్కుడు తరికిట తక్కుడు దిక్కుడు తక తరికిట తక తక్కిన్నం ఝక్కిన్నం తక్క జన్న కిట్ట కిర్ర కిట్ట తక్కుడు దిక్కుడు తరికిట
சுழலவரும் இளையவனே தொழுவார் காணவிதம் பல உடையவரே காணமையில் ஏறி கைலாயம் தன்னை வருமுருகன் என்னை வினைய அருளது பெறலாம் கடல் கிளிய மலை முறிய வருமுருகன் என்னை வினைய அருளது பெறலாம்
தக்குடு தக்கிட கிட தக்கி தக்குடு தக்குடு கிட தக்கி தத்த கிட தக்கி தாக்கு தி குட கிட தும் கிட கிட தக்கி தம் க தங் தி கிட தக்க திக் திக் தாம் தத்த தாம் த த தாம்
ಮುರುಗನ ವಾಹನ ಮೈಲ್ ನಮ್ಮ ನವಿಲು ಅದರ ನರ್ತನ ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಆರಂಭದ ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮವಾದ ನೃತ್ಯ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. After that scintillating Kautvam, Anushri Padmanabha will present a Pallavi. Pallavi is a pure dance and implies elaboration. In a traditional Odissi dance repertoire, Pallavi is a piece where the dance blossoms in time to a raga and diverse rhythm structures. It is a portrayal of lyrical movements in synergy with the eyes, neck and torso and with footwork. This Pallavi is set to raga Charukeshi and Tal Ek Tali. The dance choreography is by Guru Srimati Sharmila Mukherjee and music composition is by Shri Devashish Sarkar. Please welcome Anushri Padmanabha for her presentation of Pallavi. ಒಡಿಸ್ಸಿ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿಯ ನಂತರ ಪುರಂದರದಾಸರ ರಚನೆಯ ಕಡೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅನುಭಾವದ ಪಯಣ. ದೇವರ ನಾಮ ಗುಮ್ಮನ ಕರೆಯದಿರೆ. Lord Krishna is perhaps one of those deities that all of us relate to in our own different ways. ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಬಾಲಲೀಲೆಗಳ ಅಚ್ಚರಿಗಳೊಂದಿಗೆ ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ತಾವೇ ಕಂಡುಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ, ಹಿರಿಯರು ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಯುಕ್ತಿ, ಸಾಹಸಗಳು, ತುಂಟತನಗಳ ಮಾಯಾಜಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ಖಂಡಿತ ಬೆರಗಾಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಜೊತೆ ಕೋಪನೂ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಾರೆ. When the little kids are adamant and refuse to pay a heed to their parents, the parents seem to have a habit of scaring them with the image of Gumma, a scary imaginary figure. ಆ ಗುಮ್ಮನಿಗೆ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ರೂಪಿ ಮಗು ಹೆದರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ತಾಯಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಈ ಅನನ್ಯ ಕಥಾನಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಭಾಗವನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡಲಿದ್ದೇವೆ? ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಉತ್ತರ ಈ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಂಡುಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. ಪುರಂದರದಾಸರ ದೇವರ ನಾಮ ಗುಮ್ಮನ ಕರೆಯದಿರೆ, ರಾಗ ದುರ್ಗಾ ಆದಿತಾಳದಲ್ಲಿ. ಇದರ ನೃತ್ಯ ಸಂಯೋಜನೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಇಂದಿರಾ ಕಡಾಂಬಿಯವರದು. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ವಿದುಷಿ ಸಂಧ್ಯಾ ಉಡುಪ.
ಕುಂಬನ ಕರೆಯದಿರೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ನೀನು ಗುಮ್ಮನ ಕರೆಯದಿರೆ ಅಂಬಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅವರ ಕಣ್ಣು ಮುಚ್ಚುವುದಿಲ್ಲವೇ ಹೆಣ್ಣುಗಳಿರುವಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅವರ ಕಣ್ಣು ಚಿನ್ನರ ಬಡಿಗೇನು ಅಣ್ಣನ ಬೈಗೇನು ಬೆಣ್ಣೆಯ ಬೇಡನು ಮಣ್ಣು ತಿನ್ನುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಗುಮ್ಮನ ಕರೆಯದಿರೆ ಚಿನ್ನರ ಬಡಿಗೇನು ಅಣ್ಣನ ಬೈಗೇನು ಬೆಣ್ಣೆಯ ಬೇಡನು ಮಣ್ಣು ತಿನ್ನುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಕರೆಯದಿರೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ನೀನು ಗುಮ್ಮನ ಕರೆಯದಿರೆ ಬಾವಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಕಾಣೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಹಾವಿನೋಳಾಡೆ ಕಾಣೆ ಕರೆಯದಿರೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ನೀನು ಗುಮ್ಮನ ಕರೆಯದಿರೆ ಮಗನ ಮಾತನು ಕೇಳುತ್ತ ಮಗನ ಮಾತನು ಕೇಳುತ್ತ ಗೋಪಿ ದೇವಿ ಮುಗುಳು ನಗೆ ನಗುತ್ತ ಮಗನ ಮಾತನು ಕೇಳುತ್ತ ಜಗದೊಡೆಯ ಶ್ರೀ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲನ ಬಿಗಿ ತಪ್ಪಿಕೊಂಡಳು. ಬಿಗಿ ತಪ್ಪಿಕೊಂಡಳು ಮೋಹದಿಂದಾಗ, ಬಿಗಿ ತಪ್ಪಿಕೊಂಡಳು ಮೋಹದಿಂದಾಗ, ಬಿಗಿ ತಪ್ಪಿಕೊಂಡಳು ಮೋಹದಿಂದಾಗ.
ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲೇ ಇರೋಣ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಖಂಡಿತ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು. ಆದರೆ ಆ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ತಾಯಿಯ ಜೊತೆಗಿನ ಬಾಂಧವ್ಯ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಕಣ್ಣಲ್ಲೂ ನೀರು ತರಿಸಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಅವನ ತುಂಟಾಟಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಗುಮ್ಮ ಬರೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ? ಓಡ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಆಯಿತು. ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ತುಂಟಾಟಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಹಾರೈಕೆಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ದ ಫೈನಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅ ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ ಟು ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಕಲ್ ಡಾನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್. The music composed by legendary Shri Ganesh and Shri Kumaresh. This is taken from their album Dance Like a Man. The dance composition, this is by choreographies by the artists themselves, Sandhya Udupa and Anushri Padmanabha. And we already have had treat individually, and now it is going to double up with both of them coming on stage together. Please welcome both the artists. I would say, of this day. Maya ತಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಗೀತ, ನೃತ್ಯ, ಕಲೆಗಳು ರಾರಾಜಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತವೆ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ these two artists have done justice to this wonderful festival. I request Smita to please come over to the stage and honor the wonderful artists. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಇನ್ನೂ ಜೋರಾದ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹ, ಮೆಚ್ಚುಗೆ, ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆಯನ್ನ ಈ ಕಲಾವಿದರಿಗೆ ನೀಡೋಣ. ವಿದುಷಿ ಸಂಧ್ಯಾ ಉಡುಪ, wishing you the very best in your journey of dance through Maya. And please welcome Anushri. It's been such a treat to watch these two artists. Thank you very much. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಕಲಾ ರಸಿಕ ಸಾಗರಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೋಟಿ ನಮನ. ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರ ಕಾವ್ಯ ನುಡಿಯೇ ನಮ್ಮ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬಂಧನ. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಉತ್ಸವಗಳು, ಇಂತಹ ಕಲೆ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯೋದು ಸಾಧ್ಯನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಬಿಗ್ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಟು ಯು ಆಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ ವೋಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ನನ್ ಅದರ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಮಿತಾ ಹರ್ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಸ್ಮಿತಾ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
First of all, thank you all for being here. I would like to thank Dr. Chithra Madhavan for coming all the way from Chennai. Your presentation it had so much of information, Dr. Chithra. Thank you. Many thanks to you. Many thanks to Srimati Sandhya Udupa and Srimati Anushri Padmanabha for accepting our invitation. All of us thoroughly enjoyed both your performances. Thank you both. Srimati Rohini Raghunandan conducted the entire program wonderfully. Thank you, Rohini. I have to place on record my gratitude to all individuals and organizations who helped roll out Maya in 2009. First of all, Saree House of Bengaluru and late Sri Ramesh, son of the owner of Saree House, Srimati Lalitamma, who was the founder of Saree House, who connected us to some of the outstanding handloom weavers in Kanjivaram. Thanks also to Vidushi Srimati Usha Ramamurthy, Ramesh's elder sister, for her constant encouragement. Of course, next on the list are obviously the weavers of Kanchipuram and all over Tamil Nadu who have placed their trust in us, and we are very happy that every one of those who held our hands 14 years ago are still with us. Unfortunately, none of them could come today. I would sincerely thank all of you as patrons of Maya for coming along with us all these years. Special thanks to the collaborators of Maya, beautiful and successful women who modeled in our sarees, and the makeup artists and drapers. Special thanks to all 9 young Carnatic classical vocalists who sang for Namami Durge, our music series of Dasara 2021, and Vidushi Vani Satish, who sang for Parvati Pahima music series of Dasara 2022. Thank you, Vani. And thanks to Guru Satyanarayana Raju for choreographing Shringara Sambrama, a short dance production. Thanks to his disciples who performed in that. And today's stage decoration too was by Sri Satyanarayana Raju. Thanks again for the entire team who put this. Thanks to the elegant senior ladies who gifted us exquisite vintage Kanjivarams for some of the revivals. Special thanks to Neeta Shankar and Varun Giridhara for wonderful photography and our social media services. And thanks for being here with us today and covering the entire event. Thank you, Neeta and Varun and the entire team. I thank the members of the Indian Institute of World Culture for providing us the auditorium, India Sweet House for today's catering and supporting us in making this a zero garbage event. I thank Sri Ram Prasad for helping us with the audio and lighting. And we have borrowed all the cutlery from the plate bank of Adamya Chetana for serving lunch today. I would like to thank Dr. Tejaswini Ananthakumar. She is not here today. She had another program to attend, so she is not here. Dr. Tejaswini Ananthakumar, the founder of Adamya Chetana, who is passionately advocating eco-friendly and sustainable practices. Thank you, Tejaswini Madam, for helping us in making this a zero garbage event. My family is my backbone, and thanks for all the support from all of them. Thank you all again. We have organized lunch, so please have lunch, and there is a photo booth which we have put up, so you can take pictures there. Thank you, and thanks Srimati Guru Sharmila Mukherjee for coming here, Guru of Anushri Padmanabha. Thank you.